This week, we talk about an underrated cult classic.
We do. And this one is from your vault.
It is from my vault. I brought this to the table.
You did.
In our relationship.
Yes.
Very early on.
And I'm super glad you did, because this is another one that probably sailed under the radar for a lot of people.
It is not a very well-known cult classic. It's one of the lesser culty films, I guess.
Yeah, it's a tiny cult.
Very small.
And I'm sure there's a following. We talk about that in the episode.
Yeah.
You know, it deserves more.
It does. It's wonderful.
It is. And ever since, I mean, I've been, it's been in my mind.
Oh, I know. I know. There's some tunes.
It's all tunes.
Yeah.
It's a giant wavering tune.
It's a 90-minute tune.
Yes.
Is what it is. Well, there's a lot of lessons also that we talk about.
This one is chock full of really good lessons.
Yeah.
You know, and some that we touch on that we admit we should touch on more.
That's true. But that's why we watch a bunch of different movies, because, you know, in some particular lessons, whether or not they're in my pee popped.
Yeah,
there.
it did.
Particular lessons that might be in a movie might be overshadowed by other things within that movie.
Yeah.
That's why we watch a whole bunch of different ones, because different things stick out to us.
It is. But I know there's a couple that this one really, it called out a couple things.
Yes.
That in retrospect, half of the things we've covered on this show could have had those things talked about as well. But there's just so much other stuff going on. You know?
We're not perfect.
No.
We can't finagle out every lesson every time. There's only so much. This is a long enough podcast as it is.
Yes. We could do like a 14-hour one.
No.
Like once a month.
No.
Everyone can divide it up.
I'm good on that.
Yeah. Well, shall we rock into this?
Rock on.
Let's go. Hey, B-Siders. Welcome to another episode of Bravo for the B-Side. This is Jim.
And this is your gentleman thief, Dani.
Ooh, getting fancy.
Yeah. I can be all film tropes.
Oh, okay, cool.
We've been watching a lot of Lupin lately.
We have.
So.
We have. Well, it's a good show.
It is a good show.
And, yeah. Taking it slow. Because once we're done, who knows if we'll ever see another season.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, that's kind of the thing with Netflix. You know, you get into something, you like it, and then nothing. That's, I mean, not like, well, it's got to do a thing and film and come over here and that. No, we've had a lot of stuff that just vanishes.
This is true.
Which is why I usually wait for at least a second season of stuff. If it's like, ooh, that looks really interesting. Then I'll have 2 seasons to fuel me before they give up on it. Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you like gentleman thief kind of stories, check out Lupin. Because it's cool.
It is. It's fun too. Yeah. So, what do we have going on?
Well, you want me to just jump right into it?
Well, I don't know. I mean, what do we have going on this?
Listen.
What's been happening?
I watched in full for the first time in my life a movie. You may have heard of it. It is called 2001: A Space Odyssey.
It's not for lack of trying.
Mm-hmm.
You've fallen asleep a couple times.
This is true.
And
Do you know why?
Tell us.
Because this movie is garbage. It's so boring.
You know, so we bought it, and you asked me why we bought just after you finished it.
Yeah.
Why did you buy this?
Yeah, because it's garbage.
Well, it's... Well, here's the thing, and I know there's people who are going to disagree, and, I don't care. They can disagree, because this is my thing. So it's from my childhood. It was a huge thing. It was monstrously boring as a kid, but I loved the bits with Hal.
Were you like, maybe I just don't get it? Maybe when I get older, and then you watch it when you were older, and you're like, nope, it's just boring.
Oh, no, not at all. As a kid, I understood this is not great. I mean, this isn't even like slow burn. This is no burn.
Yeah.
This is like a slightly smoky pile of wet leaves and nothing kicks off. It's frustrating because, and we've talked about this, if that script were to be put out to a producer today, they would just throw it in the trash.
Yeah.
Like, there's no fucking plot. We have no idea why Hal's doing what he's doing. And that comes up like, well, now you can't even say near the end, more like in the middle, because the end is this long series of just super slow shit.
They don't even actually explain why Hal does what he does.
No, you have to watch 2010, which, came out 20 years later. Great. Almost, about 15. Anyway, we've talked about not doing things in real time.
Yeah.
There are moments when those fit in a script, right? Little bits and things. But I'm going to go out and I'm going to repair a module on the outside of my ship. We don't need to see that. It's like 11 solid minutes of.
Yeah.
And that right there was enough to just bore. And then it was funny because we were joking about it when we went out for a cigarette. We came back in. I was like, "What are you talking about?" So we're talking about the movie, and I was doing the flight attendant walk. She's like, "Oh, you almost fell." I said, "Oh, no. This is how they do it." And I painfully, per the movie, stepped across her path.
It took 12 solid minutes.
She's just looking. I'm like, that hurt. But I wanted to make my point. Yeah, it's not a lot. I'll watch it 1,000 more times. I've seen it so many times.
And then you forced me to listen while you read from the book, which is also garbage.
Well, you wanted to know how it was different.
Yeah.
In the book. I said, well, it really wasn't. And folks, if you've ever read 2001: A Space Odyssey, which I did as a young child, and I've read it many times, and it's like the movie. There's certain parts that I like, and it's just part of that childhood thing. But it is shit. It's terrible. It is literally vomiting words.
Yeah.
Paragraph after paragraph after paragraph. And we were talking about Clark and Asimov, how they're just the worst fucking writers.
Yeah, massively overrated.
They don't, and I don't. Again, people are going to argue. Oh, but they've got $400. I don't give. There's plenty of people with $400 on Amazon.
That's true.
You read his page. I mean, nothing in there painted a picture.
No.
Right? They just throw random shit, and it's like pseudo psychobabble and just tech jargon, and it's like.
It's like, look at all the new age hippie bullshit that I know.
If they could, I believe they would have written their books in Latin to stick with that old, I'm smart and this is for smart people. And you know what? You picked the wrong audience, friend, because smart people read it and they're like, what in the holy hell? This is like my thesaurus software just fucking exploded. And just started throwing shit in my document, and there you go. So anyway, it has its place in cinema, and as far as the history of things,
it certainly is a piece of cinema.
But it is woefully boring. Everything is gratuitous.
I was determined to actually watch it through, and I nearly fell asleep several times.
I know.
It took me 2 days to watch this movie.
I know. It was in bursts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hey, you know what? Power to you.
Thanks.
Now, you know what I am talking about we've been talking about it and stuff. And it's like, I don't know how people went to the theater stoned or on acid and made it to the trippy part at the end. Cause this bitch is 2.5 hours long.
I had to take a nap.
That is a nap. Shit. Slept through the first 4 showings. Anyone would, Yeah. That's a tough donkey to ride down the road, that one.
Hoo boy.
So, well, that wasn't the greatest moment. We did some metal detecting.
We did.
Finally. And you found?
I found a piece of French coinage from the 80s.
A French nickel.
Yeah. And a pair of earrings.
Yeah, we did it at the
Exciting
beach.
Stuff.
Yeah, did it at the beach. A different beach.
Yeah.
We've done 2 beaches here. Well, we did the one today, but then the Tenny Park one, we only got part way.
Yeah.
We had to hit that when all the people were gone.
They're not big beaches.
No.
They're very small.
Yeah. The bigger one today was, you could roughly fit in a regulation size volleyball court.
Roughly.
Yeah. It'd be a little narrow. But anyway, yeah. So, a lot more junk.
Yeah.
But you find interesting stuff. You got earrings and you got a whole set of earrings and then 2 orphans.
Oh, yeah, I did.
I just got a bunch of crap.
You got interesting stuff. You downplay your stuff.
I got a nickel and 3 pennies, bunch of nails, ketchup packet that was almost a foot down. That weird thing that looks, it looks like one of those little key tabs that you break off a can of sardines. You stick the foil in the clip and then you roll it around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was, I think, my most interesting one.
Yeah. I don't know how to open a can of sardines.
I opened them,
but I know I'm aware of what those key things look like.
I opened one once because my grandfather used to eat them, and I always bugged him. Hey, do you want some sardines? Hey, do you want some sardines?
Oh, because you wanted to open it?
Oh, I thought it was the greatest fucking thing ever. I just loved that. Oh, because it was the shape of a sardine can.
Is weird.
Well, there was just nothing else like it. It's rounded corners and it's almost rectangular, but it's just so orderly. Twist, twist, twist. You get around, the lid comes off just so, and they're all in there. They smell like shit to me, but yeah, I was always happy to open a can of sardines. If you want some, I'll open them for you.
I don't.
All right.
In other news, Midge started school.
Yeah, finally.
Yeah.
Last week.
Shortly after we recorded our 100th episode.
Yeah. Yep. And so far they're still going.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a day-to-day thing.
Yeah.
So
by the time this airs, they might not be. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see in 2 weeks when this pops out how it's going.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're just playing it by ear, watching things. She's digging it.
Mm-hmm.
They're not doing it where the teachers rotate rooms. The kids get up and go to, like they normally do in middle school, go from room to room, different classes. She's all about it.
Yeah.
All about it, which is good.
That's true.
But yeah, we'll see.
And we also started trying this meal kit delivery service. There are a lot of them, and I don't want to name names.
Right.
I guess. But we tried one of them. It's all right.
Well, there
was one miss.
I have had strong opinions about this whole meal in a box thing. But we thought we'd give it a shot because as of late, and folks, you probably are running into this too. We make a list. We make our dinner menu, our meal menus for the week. Mm-hmm. And then that is what, obviously guides what goes on the list. So I go to the grocery store, and more often than not, I can't fucking find the most basic of things. And that derails the entire, dinner thing, because I'm at the store, you're here doing the laundry, and you and Midge are, straightening. So to try and have a phone conversation about, well, shit, well, what do we do for dinner for this one? I gave up a long time ago. I just say, fuck it, scratch it off the list and come back and say, Tuesday, we're going out. Because they didn't have anything.
Yeah.
But it's happened so frequently that we thought we would give it. And our grocery bill is, like everyone else's, is just going up and up and up.
Yeah.
We don't eat lavishly.
No.
I mean, we eat pretty basic, healthy stuff. But man.
Yeah.
It's like, Jesus Christ, I could, my grocery bill for a month is getting close to a house payment.
It's crazy.
Right? And I used to, for a family of 3. All right. And it doesn't matter that Midget's getting older, because that kid could always eat.
Oh, yeah. She could always put it away.
For a family of 3, for 3 meals a day, 7 days a week, would be between 120 and 150. And 150 was when we had to stock up on stuff, the shit that lasts forever. Yeah, it is well past that.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It's regularly bouncing over 200.
Oh yeah, like 220 to 280 was the one, because we decided to do
steak and shrimp and bullshit. It's chicken and
right. Yeah, it's unreal.
Outrageous.
And for breakfast, we don't have bacon and eggs and this fucking German smorgasbord of breakfast goods.
Yogurts and cereal and granola bars.
Yeah.
Sometimes bagels.
Yeah. I usually just stick with Cheerios. I mean, how's that going to, inflate it? And then basic lunches. It's just, yeah. So anyway, we're trying this service.
Mm-hmm. A couple of them, awesome.
Yes.
A couple of them, all right. I mean, not writing home about it. But there was one that was a big old miss.
Yeah. It was a pasta and kale,
but
kind of thing.
Overall, I would say that if it's something you've been thinking about, I mean, we're not going to name the one that we're using because we're not getting paid to do this.
Right.
But if it's something you've been thinking about, give it a shot.
Well, yeah, and that's what we're doing is we're doing we're doing a 3-week run, 5 meals, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or 5 days.
Yeah.
And we're comparing that cost. We still have to go to the grocery store, but our list was 8 items yesterday. Because they send you everything and the right amounts. So we're
except
seeing
for salt and pepper and cooking oil and whatever.
Yeah, just little things that you should have anyway. So we're just seeing how the cost each week with what we have to get at the store for just little bits of stuff. And then with these meals, see how it goes. But the nice thing is when you want to have this meal, all that shit is there.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about going and seeing this, 75 feet of empty meat coolers. It's like, fuck.
Yeah.
Or our particular grocery store, they tend to oh, well, everybody's been, buying this and that and the other thing. But what we're going to do is we're going to buy this totally weird fucking thing. And we're going to put it on the shelf in place of 9 different things.
Yeah.
So they're stuck with it. I just don't buy it. We just end up going out.
Well,
which I hate doing because it's more expensive and it's not healthy.
This is true.
I mean, we usually every other week we would treat ourselves, for D&D, usually pizza because that's kind of a staple, but we split it up.
Yeah.
We split it up.
But anyway, I would say, overall, I've been enjoying them overall, and the cost is comparable. And if it's something you've been thinking about, I would recommend it. Not that you care about my opinion, but
yeah, they all have a first week's thing at $1.99 a box or some shit like that. Give it a shot. Who knows? You might like it. It might save you, especially if you are like us and you're having problems at the grocery store. and you just can't find the basic stuff that you want. Or again, like our grocery store, let's get some carrots. You go there and you're like, looks like Bugs Bunny came in and just hate fucked every one of these carrots. I wouldn't feed this to a dog, Well, on that happy note,
yeah,
we have a movie to talk about.
We do.
What is that movie?
This is a movie that we have, we watched. Oh, I mean, I watched it before we were together, and we've watched it several times. It is one of our kind of favorite standbys, and somehow never made it onto the list, and I'm not sure why, but we were thinking about what movie to watch, and I was like, oh, what about this one? Because I've been looking at our movies a lot lately for stuff to watch instead of streaming service stuff. I don't know why. Anyway, this movie is called Repo, the Genetic Opera.
Yes.
It was made in 2008, written by Darren Lynn Bousman. Written by, oh no, my laptop fell asleep. Stand by. Written by Darren Smith and Terrence Zunich. Okay. Starring Alexa Penavega, Paul Sorvino, Anthony Head, Sarah Brightman, and Terrence Zidnik. It's rated R. It had a budget of about $8.5 million.
Yes.
A fairly large budget. There's a reason for that, but it was still a B movie.
Right.
Here's the plot. A worldwide epidemic encourages a biotech company to launch an organ financing program similar in nature to a standard car loan. The repossession clause is killer, however.
That's so clever.
So, this movie was something Terrence Zunick.
We'll just call him Terrence.
Terrence Z. And Darren Smith had put together in New York, and it was doing really well in New York as a play. It wasn't a Broadway play or anything.
Right. Well, let's clarify.
Sure.
Because it's not
not a play.
Not a play.
It's a rock opera.
It's a rock opera.
Yes.
And that is a massive difference, and it has accolades completely not shared with a play.
Right. Fair enough.
Yeah.
It is something else, this movie.
Well, and the people in it, I mean, even at daily rates.
Yeah.
Right? That's where that $8.5 million budget comes in. Because these are heavy hitters.
Yeah, they're pretty big names.
Except for somebody we won't mention just yet. But, Anthony Head is not a cheap person.
Well, no.
To get on the screen.
Paul Sorvino is
I know. He's
legend.
Oh, absolutely. And Sarah Brightman is, she's not an actress, but I love her music.
Well, Sarah Brightman she
was
starred in Phantom of the Opera for ages and ages and ages.
Right, but she's not a screen.
Right.
Yeah. Well, she's a singer. That's her thing. I love her music.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful. Gorgeous voice.
Yeah, she doesn't come cheap because they didn't just find her. So, yeah. And Alexa
Penavega.
Yeah. Was it
Spy Kids?
Yeah, is it Shark Boy and Lava Girl?
Yeah.
Or Shark Girl and Lava Boy?
Yeah, that was it. It wasn't Spy Kids, it was Shark Girl and Lava
no, was it
Shark Boy?
No, it was Spy Kids.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because Dani Trejo is in it.
Yeah, it was Spy Kids.
Yeah. I'm embarrassed that I know either of those. But we do have a 12-year-old who was smaller at one time.
This is true.
Yeah.
I think this was before Spy Kids, though.
This?
Yeah.
No, she was little.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
There is no fucking way they'd have put her in Spy Kids at that age if she did this movie first. They're like Disney. They don't want anything associated with an actor that will, dampen the purity of, Yeah. Anyway. So, rock opera. Not a lot of those. I mean, the most famous one before this was Tommy by The Who.
Sure.
Rock opera. Rocky Horror Picture Show is not a rock opera. It is a musical.
Rock operas are tough to pull off.
They are. Almost all dialogue is sung, and it's not like a song. It's not rhymed, right? Not everything is rhyming. They just, if it's a one-liner, they'll, somehow get it out, and like that. But you also have to have a musical presence like almost every fucking second of the film.
Yes.
And that's what it is. And this one rocks it, man. These guys kicked ass. I would have loved to have seen this on a stage. But yeah, we've seen this many, many times. And I think we need to start talking about it.
Let's do it. Why don't you start us out?
So I'm going to start out. We open with these cartoon panels. And I love when things open like this.
A comic book.
Yeah. Explaining that in the future, people's organs are failing at a spectacular rate. And then this company, GeneCo, makes it easy for people to get transplants, right? They've got all kinds of stuff going. And however, if you fall behind on payments, they send the Repo Man.
Mm-hmm.
And he just comes and takes your organs. That's it. And just leaves your gutted carcass on the side of the road. It's kind of fucking hilarious, really. Yes. GeneCo also invented this drug called Zydrate, and it's extracted from the dead, and they use it to take the pain of surgery away.
Yeah, it's like a souped up painkiller.
Yeah, but it's super addictive, right? And then we're introduced to the Largo family, who are the owners of GeneCo, and they're just, I'm not going to get into all of them, they're just super fucked up, right? We'll talk a little bit about each one as we go through, or maybe you've got a little more to go on, or do you want to interject?
Well, what I wanted to
who
say,
they are?
I didn't put a lot about them because I kind of did them as we go through the movie.
Right.
Because we just see them in this first part. But I think this first part, if you want a good example of like front heavy exposition that is necessary and works, this is a good film to see.
Well, it is, because this is not their story.
Right.
They're part of the story, but Pavi is like the most fucked up one.
Pavi's extremely fucked up, yes.
He wears people's faces.
Yeah, he's got little clips on the sides of his face, like near his scalp.
Yeah.
And he switches out his face
all the way down by his ears.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He switches out his face when he feels like it, and he's got these faces that he attaches to the clips that he wears over his own face.
It is fucked up.
I think it looks awesome.
It does look awesome, but yeah. So getting a little bit of that, understanding these guys, because there's two brothers and a sister, and knowing a little bit about them. Because really, like I said, it's not their movie. They're just in it.
Well,
but knowing this bit about them helps frame the moments they are on screen.
It definitely does, because they have very distinct looks. Like, they're very distinct silhouettes.
And they're very different as characters.
They are.
Like, wildly different.
But it's also important that the movie tells us all of this stuff right up front with this very, this like front heavy backstory exposition of this world. Because once you're in this world, they don't wait for you to catch up. Like, you need to know that this is how the world operates. The world of this movie operates this way.
This is a roller coaster. It's like a roller coaster, like a thrill ride roller coaster through a fun house.
Mm-hmm.
Once you pull that fucking bar down and strap that seatbelt and buckle it, you either see it or you don't, because it just starts whipping you through. And If you miss it, it's your own goddamn fault.
Yeah.
Got to keep your eyes open. And until it comes to an end, there is no breath-catching moments, which is kind of awesome. So yeah, they're completely fucked up. And we get this first, well, it's not the first song, because there's a character, Grave Robber. We're introduced to him.
The Grave Robber.
And he kind of gives us a little narrative as the comic things are going, but it's not a full-blown song.
Right.
Right. So we get our first song, and I pulled these from the movie. Each one's about a minute or two. Well, this one's about 2 minutes. But I want you to just kind of get the feel of what's going on. So what he's, actually, yep, nope, not yet. That comes up in a minute. Sorry, jumped ahead of myself. Grave Robber, this is where he's giving that narrative.
Well, we meet the Grave Robber, and he sings to us about the Repo Man.
Yes.
While we watch the Repo Man do an organ repossession.
Yeah.
It's real grisly.
We got some gory effects, and he's chasing down a woman to get her heart.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking wild. And then last thing I'll say is they do a nice scan over the land, which is this brilliant miniature that they built for this landscape. And it's just awesome. And of course, everything is bleak. It's very post-apocalyptic looking and dark. We have Mr. Largo looking over some pictures that were taken in secret of his kids, just showing how all the more fucked up they are, kind of each one doing the thing that is their thing kind of bit. And then this is funny. There's some, stuff going on. And then this doctor comes in and tells him he has a terminal illness. And then he just has the doctor fucking killed right there.
Yeah.
Why the hell not?
Well, because the doctor brought him some bad news. But we already know that this world was built on bodies, because that pan showed, I wrote them, it's like a sea of bodies.
Yeah.
It's like an ocean, just bodies and bodies and bodies. And then this huge collection of graveyards. And then just in the tiny little center of it is this like dystopian kind of Blade Runner-ish looking city.
Well, yeah. And there's this floating, I never noted this.
Oh, the floating billboard?
Yeah. Billboards.
Yeah.
It's this giant, it's not like a regular billboard. It's very Blade Runner, kind of junk Blade Runner.
Yes.
Looking. It's like I don't know, just imagine like girders and scaffolding and all this shit, this big thing, all these digital, one big one, couple small ones, just kind of floating around, mostly advertising Gene Co.
Yes.
Yeah. Sort of their thing.
Yeah. There is already in this movie just like so much music and interesting visuals that it's hard to like keep up with everything that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
We meet this young girl, Shiloh, who is going secretly via an underground tunnel to visit a grave. And she's also wearing a mask.
Right.
Like a gas mask.
Yeah.
Not a hide your face mask. And she's in a mausoleum. And there's a little glowing bug. So she's trying to catch it. And it ends up going outside of the mausoleum. And she goes out to try and catch the bug. And suddenly there's like guards everywhere. There's lights going up. And she's not supposed to be there.
Right. Well, because, as it said in the beginning, zydrate comes from the human body.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, they don't want people like Grave Robber sneaking into cemeteries, digging up bodies and...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's trying to hide from the guards, and the Grave Robber is there. And he is singing about how the city was built on the dead while he is indeed harvesting some zydrate.
He is. Shall we hear his song?
Sure.
So this is what he explains to us.
Industrialization has crippled the globe.
Enjoy Gene Co's day and nighttime formulas of
Hydrate. Nature failed as technology spread.
Ask a intern if hydrate is right for you.
And in this wake, a market erected.
Buying hydrate from an unlicensed source is illegal.
An entire city built on top of the dead. And you can finance your bones and your kidneys. For every market, a sub-market grows. But best you be punctual with making your payments. Lest it be you on the concrete below. It's quick. It's clean. It's pure. It could change your life. Rest assured. It's the 21st century. Cure. And it's my job to steal and rob.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
So he ends up drawing the attention of the guards.
Clearly.
In a very big way.
Oh, yes.
And takes the body that he was harvesting from and uses it as a battering ram to get through a wall.
Yes.
And this room is chock full of bodies. Like, this world is gross.
Yeah. When you watch this, you think, if I were in that circumstance, why would I go through all this to get a fucking organ and live this life of fear and this and that? For what? Because it is filthy.
Is disgusting.
You know what it reminded me of? I was thinking about it. Deadwood.
Oh, sure.
Right? The frontier town, how it's just fucking, we're up and coming town. No. And that's why it has that post-apocalyptic look, because it's just like everybody let everything go to shit.
But yeah, as they go into this room, there's more bodies being dumped in like landfill style.
Yeah.
As they're making their way through. And the guards grab Shiloh and pull her back through the wall. And then as they're like surrounding her, the Repo man comes in and he starts pushing the guards away.
Yeah.
And then we see Shiloh in a house, and she's in a like 4-poster bed that's kind of like this bubble boy situation.
Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff like IV carts and monitors and everything.
Mm-hmm. And she doesn't have any hair now, so it turns out her hair was a wig.
Right.
So her father is there, played by Anthony Head, and he's telling her that she imagined all of that because she's going on about,
she forgot to take her medication.
Yes.
So she was hallucinating.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he said.
Yeah. And then we get Anthony Head singing.
Yeah. So his character is Nathan.
Yes.
Right. We learn a couple things. We learn that she suffers from the same blood disease that killed her mom.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he's saying.
Right.
Yeah,
her mom died giving birth to her.
Yeah, and that we did learn that he tried to cure his wife.
Right, and he's trying to cure Shiloh.
Right,
he's working on it.
But his cure made her go into labor.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of how this, and he has all this guilt. But yeah, then we get in Anthony Head singing.
Oh, so good.
Folks, if you've watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer and you remember the musical episode.
Once more with feeling.
I felt like I had just been punched in the brainstem.
I remember the first time I watched that, I was like, is this really happening?
Exactly, right? Because first of all, I don't like musicals.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, are they doing this? And then when he started singing, because everyone else, you can tell they had their coaching and they, did a fair to middling. But I'm like, what is this? Yeah. What is this?
I think everyone in the world collectively was like, Anthony Head? What?
So he breaks into a number, and I've got some of it, and this piece goes from a very subtle to a more amped. I mean, it covers a pretty good range. We want to share this because he is so good at this.
Years roll by without you, Marnie. 17 have come and gone. I raised our Shiloh with the best intentions. But there is something I can tell her. I'm lost without you here. I am only living out a lie. Shiloh can never leave. She is my everything. Nothing can bring you back. Shiloh is all I have.
I want to watch it again.
I get goosebumps when I listen to him.
And that covers the reason I like this one the best is because it's not just a musical number, but he's like delivering lines, and that's the thing with a rock opera.
Mm-hmm.
You're delivering lines, in some sort of songish way, because there's like some parts later where he just is like,
yeah,
and it's not going to be on an album.
No,
but
it's fun to watch.
Oh, it's fun to watch, and they just do a really good job with it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she's all he has.
Yes.
Right. And then we learn he has a secret because after this bit, this most ungrateful job. We get a bit of him and Roddy Largo, who's the head of Jinko, as they're younger, like from the past, right? And we learn that Nathan is the Repo Man.
Yes.
We get a bit with the Largo kids, and I just put Jesus Christ. Well, they're all surgery addicts in different ways.
Yes.
And all of them are addicted to Zydrate. None more than Amber Sweet.
Right.
Or Amber.
Well, they're addicted to, yeah.
But she changed her name to Sweet. But yeah, she's one of them.
Well, it's like Luigi and Pavi singing out this pissing contest and being crass about how great they are.
Oh my God. I don't even want to get into that. Yeah. It's a pretty brutal song. Luigi, he's
nasty.
He's the nastiest of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. Then we get introduced to Blind Mag. And that's Sarah Brightman's character. As Shiloh's watching TV and, there's a spot on Blind Mag's doing a performance at the Genetic Opera. And then Roddy sends her a message to meet him at her mother's tomb. A few things happen, but then Shiloh sneaks out, gets there. And it turns out that Roddy also loved Nathan's wife and was pissed that she chose Nathan over him.
Yes.
So out of anger, he snuck some basically poisonous shit into Nathan's lab. And that's what caused everything. And then his wife to die. So obviously Nathan doesn't know this. And then Roddy does the whole confession thing at the tomb. Shiloh listens. And then he has her tossed in a car. He wants to leave Gene Co. to her instead of his kids.
Well, yeah, he doesn't exactly tell her this, but he says that I can cure your blood disease.
Yeah. And cure her illnesses. That's what I had in my notes.
Right.
But there's a number where he's talking about that. Doesn't want his ungrateful shit kids to have the company.
Yeah. He's basically like, my kids are all fucking horrible.
Yeah.
Which is true.
It is. We get back to Nathan in the basement doing a repossession. And this is his thankless job song. And he's hilarious as he's ripping the organs out of this dude.
Singing.
Yeah. And it's funny because in the end, he just like shoves his arm into the guy's chest cavity right up into the head and starts doing a ventriloquist bit.
Yep.
And then he spots Blind Mag on the TV. And we learn that they say, she's the voice of Gene Co.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get a quick bit on how she was blind. And
Gene Co.
gave her eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So then Roddy takes Shiloh to this like carnival kind of thing that's going on.
Yeah.
And it's like the I don't know. It's like for the pre-party for the Genetic Opera, which is in a day or two.
Well, they announced they were opening up the streets to some sort of festival, old Italian style. Not really carnival. Kind of like a marketplace,
right?
Where there's entertainment and stuff. And
it's like a little festival,
pop-up bodegas and whatever.
And all the Largo kids are there. And this is the first time we meet Amber Sweet, because we've met Pavi and we've met Luigi.
Right.
And we meet Amber Sweet, and she is played by Paris Hilton.
I was just going to say, this is the worst part of the film, is Paris Hilton's presence.
You're so...
Thankfully, it's not much, but there's a big payoff. I'm going to leave that completely to you. But I just wanted to warn everybody that Paris Hilton's in it, because there are people who have a visceral hatred of her. I don't have a visceral hatred. She's just the worst kind of human being.
Okay. I genuinely don't know a whole lot about Paris Hilton, like as far as her personal life goes, except that she has money and is famous somehow.
Hilton Hotels Empire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's clear that she's having fun.
Yeah.
Playing this role.
Yeah.
She's in, I would say, probably top form for her in this movie.
Sure.
So Shiloh, like this is all kind of going on, and Shiloh has been brought there by Roddy to meet Blind Mag. And Shiloh is just captivated. This is like a kid meeting their hero.
Yeah,
she's grown up
hero
hearing
moment.
Blind Mag sing.
Yeah.
And Shiloh is also kind of simultaneously realizing, like, I need to get home.
Yeah, because if Dad finds out she's missing,
mm-hmm.
that's a whole separate movie.
Right. She's not supposed to leave
What's going to happen?
Bedroom.
Right.
Right. So she kind of like, she gets shunted into this little tent, while Roddy and the kids are off doing something.
Yeah.
And the grave robber cuts the side of the tent open, and he's like, "Hey, come out this way." And she's like, "You're real."
Yeah.
But not before her dad calls. And there's this really awkward phone conversation between the two of them.
Watch conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have these little hologram heads on their watches that pop up, and it's kind of cool, really.
Well, because her medicine alarm goes off.
Yeah.
And then it goes off while Nathan is torturing his victim. So he calls Shiloh to make sure she took her medicine. And she's trying to hide the sounds of the carnival going on behind her.
Yeah.
And he's trying to hide the sounds of the guy that he's torturing and disemboweling.
Yeah.
And then the grave robber comes and helps her escape. And I know that this next bit is your favorite while she's escaping with the grave robber.
It is. He whips her away and takes her to some back alley somewhere. And this, in my notes, to me, this is the best song of the film.
It is the catchiest, most fun number.
I love this song. And I've got just a bit of it. Didn't get the whole thing because we don't need to do the whole thing. That's why you watch it, folks. But to tantalize you, let's hear about Zydrate, sung by Grave Robber.
How old are you?
17.
I had my first surgery when I was 13. And thanks to Z, I couldn't feel or remember a thing. A month later, I was turning tricks.
Drug market, submarket. Sometimes I wonder why I ever got in. Blood market, love market. Sometimes I wonder why they need me at all. Zydrate comes in a little glass vial.
A little glass vial? A little glass vial.
And the little glass vial goes into the gun like a battery. And the Zydrate gun goes somewhere against your anatomy. And when the gun goes off, it sparks and you're ready for surgery.
And right about there is when Amber Sweet rolls down the alley singing Grave Robber, da da da. She wants some more Zydrate and this whole thing.
She's addicted to surgery.
Yeah. And that has a huge thing later. But we learn she Blind Mag is going to be stepping down.
Yes.
And Amber Sweet wants to take her place.
Yeah. And she's not a fan of Blind Mag.
Oh, she
Amber
hates
Sweet.
her for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So after this number, further into the song, we learn that Blind Mag's contract says that if she leaves, Roddy and Jinko can take her eyes.
Yes.
Okay. So the mighty fine print.
Mm-hmm.
After that is we get, or that information is given to us. The cops show up, looking for Amber. Because Roddy's like, where the fuck is Amber? You know, Grave Robber and Shiloh take off. Shiloh makes it home before Nathan gets back, from a repo job. Just barely. She gets up to the top of the stairs and then his secret panel opens.
She's sneaking in as he is also sneaking in.
Yeah. But they just miss each other. She goes to the living room, up the stairs, and then he comes in.
Yeah.
Through his little secret door.
So Nathan has to go and meet Roddy because Roddy's called him in for a meeting. And Roddy has assigned him to repossess Mag's eyes. And they fight briefly because Nathan does not want to do this. And we learn that Mag was Shiloh's mother's best friend.
Yes.
And so Nathan knows her very well, and he doesn't, he's like, I'm not going to do this. But Roddy kind of holds over Nathan's head the death of his wife, saying that if you don't do this, I'm going to tell Shiloh and, all this stuff.
Well, and he's paying for Shiloh's
medication or something.
He's financing Nathan.
Yeah.
Through the job and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Nathan ultimately says that he can't do this. So while they're meeting, Blind Mag is calling at Shiloh's house.
Mm-hmm.
And by calling, I mean she is there in person.
Yeah.
Ringing the doorbell. And Shiloh has to work hard to get down there and meet with her because, she's locked in her room. I guess her sneaking out is, as much as she's done it, I guess it's not that easy. And Mag tells Shiloh a lot of things.
Yeah.
She lets a lot of cats out of bags.
Yeah. And Shiloh is just like, huh?
Like, what the fuck?
Whoa. The history was not as it had been presented to her.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Shiloh is kind of reeling while Meg is this like, oh my God, Sarah Brightman's just stunning in this movie. She's just this full, beautiful aesthetic.
Yes.
Of magnificence. And it goes along with her musical number that she sings as this, like, the musical number is her conversation with Shiloh.
Right.
And she ultimately gives Shiloh a warning to not lose her integrity. Like, kind of at the end of her musical number.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and then Shiloh ends up well, Nathan actually comes in at the end of this.
Before Meg can leave.
Right. Shiloh ends up begging him to let Mag hide there, trying to say that the Repo Man's going to get her. They're going to take her eyes and stuff. And he just like screams at her to shut up.
Yeah.
And
pushes Mag out of the house.
Yeah. And then, you didn't like this part.
I don't really like it. It like
Shiloh breaks into this
me.
Yeah, total teen angst series of songs. But it's wild and yeah, it's, you know, just a teenager ranting and raving. But let me tell you something, people.
It's not inaccurate.
Well, it's not inaccurate. But the best part of this number is like a mysterious wind on a shadow appears in her little rock fantasy. Joan Jett. Yes. Joan Jett.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
It's awesome.
And then, just as non-celebratory arrival, you know, as it was, she's gone.
Yeah.
As mysteriously as she came in, she's gone.
She's Shiloh's backup singer for a minute.
Yeah.
She's gone.
And it's hilarious because she's like, you know, in like any kind of sitcom fantasy or movie fantasy, right? The closet blows out and it's this endless space. It's like a TARDIS. And there's a band playing on a stage and stuff. But yeah, all of a sudden she's bouncing around the room, sitting and bitching. All of a sudden they cut to it, and in the doorway steps Joan Jett with her guitar, just fucking shredding it,
yes.
Right? And then gone. I had to say that. Oh my God! And in the end, Nathan comes in and just smacks her to the floor.
Yeah,
which is a little off from the dynamic that we had been introduced to.
Nathan's under enormous pressure at this moment in time.
You have to feel for him.
Yeah.
At this point, because this is a terrible fucking place to be in.
Well, yeah.
And there's nowhere to go because Roddy owns everything. Yeah. Cops, everything.
Yeah, Roddy owns the world.
Pretty much. Basically. Yeah.
You know, he's the leader of GeneCo. So, do you want to...
Well, then next thing we see is Roddy standing in front of a mirror and he's putting his toupee on, which is awesome because he has this from the front, you know, we see him. He has like me. His hair is combed straight back and he's got a ponytail, not as big as mine. But it's a toupee.
Yeah. So Roddy is played by Paul Sorvino.
Yes. So he's putting that on and covering up this like blood red blemish that has shown up on his face. Mm-hmm. That's the hint of the illness. Amber comes in screaming about her latest surgery, how to fuck up her face. I love this bit because the scene goes on for quite a bit and we don't see her face.
She's covering it with her hair.
Well, and when she's just storming around, she's having a tantrum, but they shot deliberate angles and kept her in shadow or, you know, 3/4 from the back and you can only see to the ear. So we don't see what's going on and this and that. And then he starts yelling at her and everything.
Like he warned her about this.
And he's like, I'm sick of you fucking kids, you know, worthless pieces of shit, around this and that, and always getting into fucking trouble, and I told you this and that, not to do this. And then we see her surgery. Oh, my God.
Oh, it's great.
She is royally fucked up.
It is
hilarious.
And she's got to sing that evening.
Yeah, she's supposed to sing.
That's the genetic opera.
So he starts to get ill. So he can't scream at her anymore. And he's just like, and this is the thing about Paul Sorvino. He plays these roles when he's a dad. It's
so good.
He can go from, and he does it in every character. It's not the same, but the transition is the same kind of transition. And it's just so wonderfully done. He goes from just this disappointed rage to, I'll have my surgeon fix up your face so you can sing tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
She's like, thank you, Daddy, and runs off.
Yeah. So he signs his will, or he puts some information in his will.
Well, yeah, this whole encounter has left him super bitter, and he's decided that none of his children are worthy of his inheritance.
Oh God. So, then Roddy's men try to ambush Nathan in his basement, to kill him.
Mm-hmm.
Shiloh looks out the window, sees a message, from Roddy telling her to get into, on one of the floating billboards, telling her to get into the car that's out front. Nathan kills the guys, goes upstairs. She's gone. He's suiting up. He's going to Mag's opera, and you can just tell shit is going to go down.
Yeah, he swears to save Shiloh and make Roddy pay.
Yeah.
He is out for blood. And he's the Repo Man. So we know.
Oh, yeah.
He's adept at things involving blood.
Yeah, and he's fairly badass.
Yeah.
All the way around.
Oh, yeah, he is. He's
Anthony Head's not a little dude.
No.
I mean, he's not, Schwarzenegger or,
right.
The Rock, but, he's a
solidly built guy.
He is. He is not somebody you would just go up to and expect, I'm going to come out of this okay if I really get him going.
Right.
Yeah.
So then we have the number that I think is called At the Opera Tonight. And it is this really lovely.
Can I just
sure.
preface that quick?
Yeah.
So we have some prep stuff. There's a lot of stuff that goes on. We don't need to get into it. But one of the things that I really noted was we do see Amber had her face fixed.
Yes.
Because it looks just like, Paris Hilton. But from midway from the forehead to her scalp falls down.
Yeah.
It falls down while she's putting makeup on.
And she's trying to press it.
And we see her, peeling it back up and pressing on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's this really, I think this is a really good job of setting up the climax of the film because it cuts between Shiloh and Nathan and Roddy and Mag and Amber and the grave robber and all of the things that they're doing to prepare for this evening, which is important to them all in different ways.
Right.
Right. Except that grave, I don't know why this evening is important to him, except that he is narrating and he's like, the winner of this blood feud is going to take Jinko, essentially.
Right.
I think it matters to him because he is kind of our storyteller.
Well, I think it matters to him too, because if somebody else takes over if Shiloh were to take over Jinko, it would become a very different company than what the kids would make it.
Right.
The kids would make it more of a monstrosity than it is.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, is it going to become harder for him to do his thing? Is it going to become, more profitable to do his thing? Are they going to run the company into the ground? Because without Jinko, he doesn't have a business. Because people take Zydrate not just to get high or, for like a painkiller.
Surgery.
But surgery is the addiction. And, I got to remember, this all started because people's organs were failing. They don't get into it. It's just like some global pandemic of organ failure.
But then it became a fashionable, ooh, I just got new kidneys.
Yeah. The rich would get highly into,
I can drink anything I want.
Yeah.
And that actually, so they do all these kind of cut shots of all the different characters. Ooh, I booped it. I booped the mic.
There it is.
And I think that we've gone through this whole film and all these wonderful musical numbers. And this piece At the Opera Tonight is a really excellent, I just think it's a really excellent piece of the film. And I think it's important to like the feel and the tone of the film that they did it this way, because we know this is where shit's all going down. This is the high of this roller coaster.
Yes.
That we've been on.
We've entered the corkscrew, and now shit's just going to go wild.
So you know to like buckle up.
Yep.
So we have Roddy and Pavi and Luigi walking down through the crowd at the Genetic Opera in the theater. And the opera crowd is all testifying about what GeneCo has done for them. And it's all of this like totally unimportant bullshit.
It is. It's funny.
It is funny.
It's sad and funny.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Roddy tells Shiloh that, well, actually, he doesn't tell her in person. He has her brought there and dumps her in a room with a pre-recorded message that he did for her.
Yeah. I don't think you understand what it is to take someone to an opera and schmooze them. Whatever.
Well,
but anyway.
In his message, he says that in order for her to get her cure, she needs to help him take down the Repo Man. And he brought her here as bait to lure him in. Why? I'm not sure, but...
Oh, he's got, some weird thing. He's gotten out of control.
He's gone crazy or something.
Which would give pause even to a 17-year-old girl.
I would think.
You know, wait a minute. He's got this pseudo psychopath.
He's your enforcer, man.
That has been working for you, and now he's fucking off the leash. And you are using me? What is your fucking problem?
So essentially, he's like, you got to take down this Repo Man, and then I'll give you your cure. This is your test. You got to have some metal. Meanwhile, we have one of the best moments of the film.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about it?
I know you do.
Well, I think you do.
I thought that was your favorite.
Well, it is. It's Amber Sweet is opening for Blind Mag.
Yeah.
And as she is singing, her face flops off of her face.
Like just like
splat.
Like when you take like two things of Jello, you take a bowl of Jello and you flip another bowl up on top of it upside down. When it doesn't take, it just all of a sudden sloughed off.
Yeah.
And there's these big eyeballs.
Yeah, and just red, raw
teeth
muscles.
And the muscles. Oh my God.
And she is mortified.
Yes.
Oh my God.
I, however, am so satisfied. You bitch.
And then, so I know that this isn't like this next bit. I know that this isn't like the quote unquote climax of the film.
Right.
But Blind Mag's number for Magia is entrancing.
Oh my God. It's Sarah Brightman singing, doing what she does best, belting out that operatic. It is. And here's the thing. It fits the film.
It absolutely does.
And we'll talk a little bit about that when we're almost to the end, and we'll start talking about these things that make this thing work. It was and is always a delight watching this number, because it's just like watching her on PBS or in concert. And, it's like, God damn, she is good.
I have watched just this number from the movie, like on repeat multiple times, because it's just so good. But she ends this number with a little like revenge and control of her own. She finishes her song by looking directly at Roddy and saying, "You could take these eyes. Singing. I would rather be blind." And she's got these like talons on her fingers as she's like singing and gesturing.
Yeah, on each index finger.
Mm-hmm. And she takes these talons and pries her eyes out.
She jams them into the center of her eyes and then turns. So, imagine if you're pointing at somebody, folks, right? And your knuckles are up and your fingers out. Now put it towards your face, jam it in. And then she starts scooping, and then, yep.
And the first time I saw it, I
God.
was like, oh, what?
Well, yeah.
Oh my God.
You didn't say anything. We're watching it when I'm watching it for the first time.
Oh, yeah, I didn't tell you.
Yeah. I was like, Jesus Christ. It's pretty bloody.
It is. It's pretty gory.
Oh, man.
And she's on a harness.
Yeah, she wire work. She's
Right.
being lifted up and everything.
Yeah. Floating around the stage like a dark angel.
Yeah.
And as soon as she does that, Roddy like does a little hand signal or something.
No, he cuts the wires himself.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, he's off to the side, so he just
He cuts the harness wires and she falls onto a spiked fence.
Yeah, they have like a
and
wrought
dies.
iron fence on the stage, and it's kind of with little spears.
Yeah.
So she hits that, and it's just nothing but fucking blood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh.
that scene, like, it gives me goosebumps every time. It's so good.
And then, I know, Repo Man is creeping through the theater, goes into a room, sees what looks like somebody sitting in a chair, and it's a dummy. Shiloh comes out of nowhere, hits him with a shovel, knocks his mask ends up coming off, and then from here on, it's like all in the open. She's pissed.
Right. She knows her dad is the Repo Man now.
Yeah, we get the I hate you bit from her. She storms off. Nathan loses his shit and just starts fucking ripping through every human being in his way.
Yes.
Oh my God. This is what we're talking about, folks. Anthony Head's not a little man. And the character of Nathan is not some little, numb fucking
Right.
nod. And then Luigi ends up stabbing him in the leg. And everything gets from here. Everything is revealed, they're telling Shiloh that Nathan killed her mother. Roddy tells her Nathan poisoned all the medicine. Nathan calls out for someone to please help his daughter because they're separated. They're on the stage now. The audience is just sitting there like a bunch of big dumb shits.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. And she's missed her medication, so she's like collapsing.
Right. She comes to. Nathan's now in a wheelchair. They're still on stage.
Mm-hmm.
Roddy gives her a gun to kill Nathan, telling her that he'll leave her gene co.
Yeah.
If he kills him.
Well, Roddy also reveals that Nathan's been giving her like Zydrate in small amounts her whole life. And so she's not actually sick. She's just like suffering from withdrawal.
Right. And there's like a back and forth with the gun. Roddy eventually gets it, shoots Nathan. Roddy dies on stage.
After telling his sons how awful they are.
Yeah. Oh, God, I think I'm dying. Oh, by the way, you're the worst.
Yeah.
You're just the fucking worst, thud. And then the audience at the end of this is still sitting there.
Yeah.
We get a really, really nice number.
Yeah.
With Shiloh and Nathan. They reconcile, and then he dies. So it's pretty, it's beautiful little exchange that they have. Shiloh sings her way out of the opera. Grave Robber closes out, letting us know that Gene Co. is unruled, as it were. So nothing was actually settled.
Right.
And then.
Well, then we do get a final little scene.
Oh, yeah.
With Amber ending up running the company with her brothers kind of like backing her up.
Oh yeah, it's a little cutscene.
She auctioned her face to charity. Luigi killed some of the bidders.
Killed the 3 highest bidders, so Pavi won the
face.
So he wears Amber's face now. And then she claimed something like some sort of like message from God kind of thing. And everyone's like, what the fuck? And then Luigi, the movie ends with Luigi just screaming at the people, threatening to fucking eviscerate all of them.
Yeah.
Clap, you motherfuckers, clap, or I'll fucking cut you. Anyway.
So, that's Repo.
That's Repo, the genetic opera. Again, it's a rock opera.
Mm-hmm.
And this is no small thing to pull off. It's hard enough to do a musical where you have to take one part of the story and put it into song and dance.
Yeah.
This is beginning to end.
Yeah. There are on the soundtrack over 60 different separate tracks.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah.
One of the things that makes this work so well is at first I want to say the cast.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Everybody is in on this. And Terrence, who plays Grave Robber,
Mm-hmm.
right? We should have looked it up because I just realized now, shit, he did that other film that we saw.
It was like Devil's Carnival.
Devil's Carnival, yeah. He is a good singer.
He is.
He has a voice, and it's really, I love it.
Mm-hmm.
But to get these names like Anthony Head and Paul Sorvino in on this, kudos to these guys because they're in. Right? This isn't the kind of thing where you sign a contract. First of all, you don't even sign a contract. You're like, what is it? It's a rock opera. Right away, you fucking turn around. You're like, fuck this. Right? This isn't a try.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, this isn't a try it on, see how it fits kind of thing. To be in this, from the words rock opera, they were like, all right, let's go. Tell me, talk to me. All right. Because rock opera, like I said, it is so hard to do. But all these people's performances, what makes this bearable is the difference between rock opera and a musical. There's no dance numbers.
That's true. I mean, there are a couple of like choreographed dances in here.
Yeah, but they're just
they're
sort
in the
of
background.
Yeah, kind of thing. But yeah, it's not this whole dun, 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 which wouldn't work all the way through a film. In a musical, it works.
Yeah.
But I think just everyone involved was the right shade of cool to do this.
I never realized, I don't think I ever saw Paul Sorvino sing before I saw this movie.
I saw him sing in an interview.
He is excellent.
Well, I remember I can't remember who was interviewing him. I don't think it was Oprah, but it was someone big. They're like, I've talked to so many people and they say you have this magnificent, lovely singing voice. He is a good fucking singer.
He is.
Oh man. Yeah. But I would never have in a million years imagined Paul Sorvino would be in a rock opera.
No.
And I'm not going to go on a big tangent, but that's like, that's on me.
Yeah.
And well, it's like typecasting.
Oh, it is.
Right. And, you can see how quickly shit can get poisoned in Hollywood and people only, can only do this one thing. And then when that thing's not available, they can only do the one thing because they're only allowed to do that one thing. And then when it goes away, they fade away from us, it's sad. It's sad because he kicked ass.
He's got pipes.
Hell yeah. And he just, carried his weight through the whole movie like he does in everything else.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, it's like watching royalty, watching Paul Sorvino. So they bookend this movie with a bit of a comic book outro also.
Yes.
And I think that's really nice, especially kind of the bringing it in and kind of coming full circle.
Well, and it shows up a couple times through.
Yeah. For little like cutout exposition.
Yeah. We don't get a narration.
No.
It's just words and pictures, which is cool. And it does fit the aesthetic of the whole movie.
Yeah. It works really well. I want to say this movie does a lot of cutaway exposition. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think this movie is a really good example of how you can do lots of like a heavy amount of cutaway exposition and do it really well. It is tough to pull off.
It is. And they succeeded.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing. Every one of those little panels of exposition would have been like 2 solid minutes of a scene.
Yes.
So we would have had almost like, I think it was like 22 to 26 minutes of just useless cinematic chewing up the scenery bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
A picture and a couple words, done.
Yeah.
I wasn't wanting.
They had a lot of stuff to do, and they chose a very creative way to show that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not saying you have to like pop up comic book panels in the middle of your movie if it doesn't make sense to do that. And in fact, don't willy-nilly do that.
I would go ahead and say don't ever do it unless you open with it. That's the thing. It opened that way like it was we're in a graphic novel.
Yeah.
And what helped those work is the way this was shot. So the color and everything is really weird.
It is really weird.
It's super non-standard. It's not like, somewhat off color balancing. It's deliberately like blown out.
There's a lot of like very blue heavy.
It is very graphic novel-esque,
mm-hmm.
right? When they get into that like dreamscape stuff. So the illustrations are fuzzy. You miss some of the fine definition here and there. The skin tones are stark. Yeah, it's a super high contrast. High key lighting going on, and it fits. So when those panels show up, you feel it's like it hasn't been switched on.
Yeah, you're not pulled out of the movie and shoved into something else. It's very natural,
Yeah, it's going, and they do this sometimes in graphic novels. The main part of the novel will be drawn one way,
mm-hmm.
and they'll have these little respites in the story, and a page or two will be in a slightly different format. Like we're going from third person to first person.
Right.
Right. And then back to third person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Worked well.
Yeah. So, I guess what I'm saying is like, if you are in a situation, I think as a rule, lots of exposition is never a good idea. But there are situations, and this movie is a definite example of one of those situations where you need a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise,
where
the story isn't going to make sense.
You know where it's also worked?
There
have been some films we've seen where the exposition is when they break the fourth wall.
Mm-hmm.
And that's almost always what that's about.
Oh, yeah.
Right? There's a scene going on, and then, someone will say something like, oh, I'm sure he'll call. He's just running late. And then they'll look to the screen. Well, it's because he's, fucking the stewardess that he,
right.
Again, for the this and that. Boom. Okay.
Yeah.
We didn't need a whole scene. We didn't need a whole, 5 more pages of script. Bam. Done and done.
Yeah.
Those things can work.
Yeah.
But we've also talked about the dangers of, breaking the fourth wall. If that's not what the movie's actually about, don't do it. Yeah. It's funny in Deadpool.
Well, he doesn't really break that to tell us anything useful. He just does it because it's funny.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. But anyway, those panels were well done.
Yes.
I want to talk about the music.
Talk about the music.
From beginning to end, it rocks. Literally. Ha 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 ha.
You're so funny.
Well, it rocks in the way that when you compose, think about like Star Wars, right? So John Williams had to come up with this music for this kind of movie that he knew nothing about. And when someone like that scores for a film, they have to tell the story of the film through their composition.
Right.
Right. But that comes in little bursts, right? There's like
and
7.
It's usually done after.
It's usually done after
filming, right?
Yeah. Well, they'll come up with some things to start with. They have to come up with like a tone to work with after they talk with the director and stuff. But usually, it's seeing the scenes and knowing what he needs to score for. And then the whole thing is you got a 7-minute score and you've only got 45 seconds that show up. For a rock opera, you have to conceive, the music is the story.
Yes.
We can write well.
I would like to think so, yeah.
We've written a few things.
Mm-hmm.
We know that like a sitcom is not where we would thrive.
No.
Writing for a sitcom, so we've never tried to.
I would not call us classically funny people.
Well, our sense of humor is weird, and it's ours.
Yeah.
And it's between us, and we make each other laugh like all day. And Lily is, she doesn't realize it yet, but she's inherited it.
I know.
You know,
a dark, sardonic sense of humor.
Yeah. You know, but I would never. I don't care if somebody called us up and said, "Hey, saw what you guys did. That was great. Got this rock opera idea, and we'd love to have you on it." I'd be hard pass, man. Hard pass. I'd be a producer. I'll be an idea man. I could not write for music.
Really? I'd give it a go.
I wouldn't. I couldn't. It's not how my brain thinks. You know, interestingly though, like, you know, when writing solo, headphones on, have my music track because that's the mood. And when we're writing together, we have our music list.
Yes.
And we skip to certain portions. Like this is a down, dirty, heart-wrenching thing. So we go to that group of tracks, and then that, you know, helps fuel the mood. But I'm not writing for the music.
No.
You know,
writing with a feeling.
Yeah. I am just astounded at this because, you know, it's not my first rock opera because I saw Tommy,
sure,
you know, with The Who and Crazy. But I was already kind of indoctrinated into that because it was rock and roll and it was The Who sort of thing, you know.
Well, yeah. And I mean, growing up, I loved Andrew Lloyd Webber's Phantom of the Opera.
Yes.
I
don't know. We can't give these people too much credit. We just can't. This to me is probably one of the hardest things. A musical is different. Musical, you can write a movie, right? And then you can take, okay, this is the music, this is the musical, this is the number. And then you got to come up with that number.
Yeah.
Right? Richard O'Brien, Rocky Horror Picture Show. I mean, that's, you know, fucking fantastic.
Funnily enough, so the person who introduced me to this movie was actually the person who introduced us. Yeah. When I worked with her in another state department. So
she's got good taste.
She has excellent cinematic taste. She introduced me to a lot of quirky, let's say, movies. She was the one who told me to watch The Human Centipede. Anyway.
Yeah, we still, curiously enough, it's on our list. It's been on our list since we began this, when we made our giant list of let's hit these movies. That fucker is hard to find.
Yeah. And Cannibal the Musical. So when she told me I should watch this, she also told me, I don't know why she told me this, but as like a prep for it, she was like, they were trying to, I think, be like the next Rocky Horror Picture Show. And that's not what it is.
Right.
But it's really great.
Well,
and she was like, and also Paris Hilton's face falls off. And I was like, sold.
There we go.
But this is, I don't think they were trying to be Rocky Horror Picture Show at all. I think they were trying to be their own thing.
I think they were trying to be their own thing. I think maybe by saying trying to be the next Rocky Horror Picture Show, the next cult classic that just really thrives.
Yeah.
Because it should. This is a fun movie. And for the folks listening, because we give out the lessons, the number one lesson in this is make your own world.
Yeah.
Right? The dystopian thing, you don't need Marvel budgets to create these, you know, fucked up cities and this whole. They used a model landscape. Yeah. They used miniatures, right? We see that, and that's the most we see of this world.
Mm-hmm.
That overhead pretend drone. This is way before drones. Pretend drone flight over the landscape. And you can tell it's miniature.
Yes.
And you can tell it's not, we're trying to create an entire planet. You see what you see. And then just the sets are gorgeous.
They are. They're stunning.
$8.5 million went a long way in this film.
And it's really weird because the sets, they are beautiful, but they do this wonderful thing with the lighting, like we were talking about earlier, where it's weird.
Yes.
But they make it feel like this whole world has like if I were to be dumped in this world, I wouldn't want to touch anything.
Right.
Because I'd be like, this all has a film of yuck over it.
Yes.
I'm sure if I were to shine a black light in here, it would be just a Pollock, Jackson Pollock everywhere.
Yeah.
Of I don't even know what. I don't want to touch anything.
Just fistfuls of shit.
Like
everywhere. Yeah, and with lighting. With the lighting. And the way they lit it, and then in the aftermath post-production, the way they colored it. Right. This is a perfect example of how that magic post-production shit, if you have it in your head, that is what you can achieve. And what you can achieve this look with an $1,800 budget.
Yeah.
Right. Because the post-production, if you know how to work your LUTs and everything, you can create this world where you don't have to design these fanciful sets that have that yuck,
right?
Like all over, and that's just maintenance and more practical effects and set dressers and shit you got to pay for or do it yourself. And
with this, it's more of a feel.
It's a feel, and they succeed because we do see very little of this world. We see the overshot. We see in the graveyard, there's only a couple tombs. We see that giant room, right, which is full of bodies.
We see Shiloh's house.
Yeah, the house, the basement, a couple like alley shots, which anyone can do. The Zydrate number.
Yeah.
In an alley, the Italian market.
Yeah.
And then the opera.
Well, and some parts of Genco.
Yeah, random rooms, really.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of the thing is you don't ever know where when Nathan's running through there, you don't know where the fuck he is in conjunction to wherever. In terms of the opera house, or is he in Genco? What the fuck is this guy? I don't know. He's just tearing shit up.
Right.
Yeah. It's really, this is the art of filmmaking. This is creating something that physically cannot exist.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that, filmmakers, you can do. I mean, hell, I can do it. I've got all the stuff. I've been playing with stuff left and right.
It takes a lot of practice.
Well, it does. I mean, I'm not going to compare myself. I'm not going to say I'm going to go sit with Silas Dahl and, help him post his movie that he's shooting. Fuck no, but it's that accessible.
Yeah.
It's just that accessible. And you get some shit for free to make it work. You can, pay $50, $99 and get a bunch of stuff that's already done up. And then you can alter it to your, liking. It's really important. And that's one of the things about this movie is it's stunning.
Yeah. From
one scene to the next. Never loses that flavor. There's never a moment of clarity. We don't do that 30s bullshit where, the women are all fuzzy and out of focus to be soft and feminine and the men are in focus at a weird angle, show their jawline.
Yeah.
No, it's wonderful. The lighting, I just can't, it makes colors do things.
It's wild.
That just fit. Mm-hmm. This is a very successful, very seamless integration of all of the things in post-production and production. To get this, you have to start with a set that's going to give you something. You have to start with the costumes that have to give you something to work with.
I was going to talk about the costumes.
Please do.
Because everyone in this movie, so there is, it's its own world.
Yes.
Right? but they do such a wonderful job with the costumes of like each person has their own style that is completely and utterly unique to them. Right? Shiloh is the kind of like she's dressed like a little Madeline doll.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Okay, so can I just interrupt you quick?
Yeah.
You know what actually made me think of Shiloh? So, folks, the third season of What We Do in the Shadows is out. It's happening.
Oh yeah, it is. It is
and
great.
it's as good as the first two so far. We've seen the first two episodes. And God, it's been so long. We've been waiting for this. But Nadia has that doll that's also her. And looking at that doll, I couldn't help but think, Jesus Christ, that looks like Shiloh.
Yeah.
Pasty, because she is. She's super pasty. And yeah, she does look like a doll.
And then Nathan, as the father figure, has very like he wears like sweaters and like dad sweaters.
It's a Bruce.
What I call them.
It's a Bruce Wayne effect.
Sure. Yeah.
Right, because he's the Repo Man.
Yeah.
That outfit, I don't know
he
how. He
looks like Mr. Rogers.
Not in that outfit.
Well, no, not in the Repo Man outfit, but in his like dad outfit.
Yeah, he's like a respected doctor, and he's a father, and he's doing what's best, and he's trying to cure his daughter, and he lives a life of certain levels of manners and this kind of thing.
But then he gets into the Repo Man outfit, and not only does he he slicks his hair back, right?
Yeah, it's an inner transformation, as he puts that. It's the Bruce Wayne thing. See, when Bruce Wayne becomes Batman, he's a whole different person from top to bottom, and that's Repo Man. Because there's some in there. He's like, rip your fucking intestines out. Oh, Nathan, come on, man.
Yeah.
But it's an awesome change.
And I mean, every other character has their own looks that they kind of bring to the table.
Grave Robber is always going to be my favorite.
Oh, he's very cool.
I love that fucking getup.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Like that create these, even if you don't see them fully on, like if you saw them behind a curtain, you would know distinctly who each character is.
Yes.
Which is so hard to do.
It is, but they do an excellent, and there are a couple moments where we see silhouettes.
Yes.
And there's no mistaking who is what.
Yeah.
Again, brilliant planning, the director and the AD and the costumer.
Costuming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
You don't get to talk about costuming a lot in, normal, like modern day movies, because most people just wear normal clothes. They have like a style, but you wouldn't be able to.
Right. I mean, unless it's something like James Bond.
Right.
Where, what brand of ridiculously overpriced tuxedo are they going to stick him in to make him have that look?
Yeah.
And like the one, Sony, everything they did, you could see it was, we get it. It's a fucking Sony cell phone.
Right.
Right. Where are they now? Anyway, the whole, that's just it. Yeah. You don't get costuming credits, but in every film, somebody is coming up with everyone's costumes, which are how they dress for their character, in the scenes. Something we probably should talk a little more about from time to time.
I think so.
Because they deserve a lot of credit.
Yeah.
And just like everything else, you can look at a movie, and we've talked about it. We've looked at each other and like, who the fuck was in charge of costumes for this? Who was the wardrobe coordinator? Because Christ almighty, this is awful.
It's something that often goes overlooked.
Yes. And occasionally, can go south real in a bad way and ruin a movie. But it is a fine skill, because when you have a quirky character, if you dress them in too much ridiculous shit, then it just looks like pained and trite. Right. The ones who are really good at it on a normal movie, you just don't notice it. If you think about it afterwards, when you're having a movie discussion, you're like, God, she just looked the part. In the way they dressed her, and and then the set dressings and the set designers, designing for the characters, their homes and stuff. But this one is true costuming.
Yes.
Because like Paul Sorvino, he looks like the last standing 18th century Feynman.
Yeah.
His ruffles and just everything. Yeah, it's wonderful. They brilliantly matched everything to these types of characters, which is, again, why I would love to have seen this on stage.
Have we covered all the things?
I don't know. I could talk about this forever because it should be the next Rocky Horror. This should have, because we were, when we queued it up, so we own this and we own it on iTunes and we had it queued up and they had underneath the ratings. And I was glancing at them, and Lily's like, what? They're like, I don't know what the hell they're talking about. It didn't get good ratings.
No, yeah.
A lot of that could very well have to do, we talked about timing. A lot of movies were before their time and just tanked. We've covered many of them.
Yeah.
That were like, let's talk about Redwood Massacre. Right? David was like, I guess they just weren't ready for it. And it's funny because they weren't. But like 4 years later, horror fans were demanding that kind of movie.
Yes.
And it started getting traction 4 years later. So when you're coming up with something, I think it's not so much this movie, but I think the lesson I want to throw out in general is quit listening to what, producers are looking for this kind of movie. Producers are looking for that kind of movie. And we get a lot of those emails from Stage 32 now.
Oh, yeah.
Like a lot. And if you have that kind of movie ready to go, I mean, if you've written it and it's been sitting, obviously contact one of these folks, go through the process and do your pitch and try to get something going with it. But when they say producers are looking for this or studios are looking for this, don't sit down, don't drop all your shit and try to write that thing. You don't have enough time to create something that is going to be good.
Right.
That is worthy of putting your name on it, where you're going to be like, I feel really fucking good about this.
Yeah.
Because if you're one of those people like, well, I can write a screenplay in a week. A monkey can write a screenplay in a week. Writing a good screenplay, that's altogether different. And we have had discussions with folks on that. So write your thing. Come up with your thing. Make it. Make your world.
Write what's in your heart.
And don't let your creativity stop on the page.
Yeah.
Right? Or as a director, don't let it stop with how you can frame it and film it and stuff. Think of how you can take a world and make it yet another world. The use of color and post coloring is like singular in this realm.
It is.
It is. And, again, I'm going to say it, I don't know how many times before we're done. This should be a cult classic. They should have midnight movie viewings. They could have,
they should.
Especially like fucking Zydrate Number. And when Anthony's running around as the fucking Repo Man, people dressed up that would be awesome on stage when he's, That'd
be super fun. Maybe we should. Well, we have enough stuff to do. We can't do this also.
Well, it's hard to do public stuff now anyway.
That's true.
But it has crossed my mind. As, we were hoping to get a movie festival going, but
I know.
It is clearly not the right time because things are just going to keep slanting down. So now's not the right time to jump into a venture that relies on the entirety of the public to fund you with their purchases and visits.
Right.
Just saying, folks. But this would be fun to have an audience participation thing like that.
Oh, yeah.
It
absolutely would be.
And it's just jamming. All these tunes are I'm, just thinking about him, I move like I do when I think about Rocky.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I think that does it. I can't think of any lessons for creating a rock opera. I haven't done it, don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
Reach out. I mean, watch this as an example of what the end product should be. Reach out, folks, to one another. See what you can do. Talk to musicians.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're the ones who are going to make it happen.
Yes.
Right? You can have people walking around just blathering, but without that fucking music, you've got nothing, and especially with like a rock opera. I would love to see more of this. I love orchestral music in movies because, that's in my lifetime, it became a thing.
Yeah.
Instead of, like 2001 didn't have any orchestral music. They used classical music already recorded, right? If nothing was made for it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, with that, go check out our website. www. Go check out our website. Jim will tell you what it is.
I feel like I've been slighted so many times in the last 2 weeks.
What do you mean?
I think you know what I mean.
LordsMissRuleProductions.com.
www.lordsofmisruleproductions.com.
Nice job.
Everything is on there. All of the links to the platforms that we are on. As we, do more, they'll show up there. Links to our social media, our merchandise page, our Patreon page, our blog, of course, obviously all the episodes.
Yeah. This is our 101st episode. If you missed our 100th episode, which was really lots of fun, please go listen to it because I'm extremely proud of that episode. I think we had a lot of fun and we talked about a lot of really cool stuff.
We had some cool guests who sent in some thoughts. The whole thing is about movies that have shaped us or influenced us. And Lily sat in and gave us, she was our guest star, our guest host. And then we had some past guests send us some recordings it was a lot of fun talking about things. Very, very nostalgic in a sense.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And while you're out there checking our social media links, check out the people we're following, the people following us. They are creatives like you. They are podcasters like us. And they are just people who are neither of those things, but people all the same.
Who are cool.
Yeah. See what they're doing. Make some connections. That's what this is all about. Make a kick-ass rock musical and send it to us. Or rock opera. Yeah.
So we need more rock operas in our lives.
Need more rock opera.
Yeah.
Got a fever.
I knew where you were going.
I know you did. All right.
Until next time.
Until next time, B-siders. Stay safe. Get vaccinated. Wear a mask. Follow the rules. You know you weren't going to get away from this without me bitching about it. Right? Don't be a dickbag.
Yep.
Just grow up and get it done. Right? So until next week.
This is your gentleman thief, Dani.
And this is still just Jim.
Bye.
Bye.